When I told people I quit the rat race at 64, they clapped, they smiled, and they said the words every worker hopes to hear: "You earned this." They pictured long mornings with coffee, long afternoons in the garden, holidays without calendars. But I'll tell you something most people won't. The hardest part of my life began after I walked out of the office door for the last time. You see, for 40 years I was more than a job title. I was a meeting, a deadline, a problem solver. My identity was in the rhythm of the work week, so the applause felt strange. Suddenly, time stretched like an empty road in front of me, and I didn't know which direction to walk. Society sells retirement like a finish line. They say, finish the race, collect the trophy, and life will be easy. That's the illusion I believed for years. From where I stand now at 90, I can tell you what nobody told me back then. Leaving work doesn't erase the habits you've built. It exposes the holes you may have been tucking feelings into for decades. It also offers an unexpected gift, the chance to choose meaning, if you're willing to look for it. If you're still running, listen close. I'll share what I learned the hard way so you don't have to learn it the same way. The first Monday after I quit, I woke up at 5 out of old habit. I made coffee the way I always had, the kettle whistling in the kitchen like clockwork. For years that sound was a signal. Get dressed, grab the briefcase, be on your way. That morning the kettle felt absurd. I poured a cup and stood at the window, watching the street I used to cross. There was nowhere I had to be. That silence is not empty at first. It echoes. In the office, even the small noises, phones, printers, laughter in the corridor, stitched your day together. Without them, you learn how loud your own thoughts are. I remember sitting with my coffee and feeling a strange ache, not sadness exactly, but the absence of a task I could point to and say, I did that. I had counted myself by work for so long that when the counting stopped, I briefly lost the number I was. Here's a small truth. Work is often the scaffolding of identity. It gives structure, start time, finish time, purpose. People ask me now, why did you feel lost? And I tell them because I had never practiced being a person outside a role. I could fix issues, sign papers, offer guidance, but I had not practiced simply being a husband, a friend, a walker in the park. That first year taught me something important. If you plan to stop the race, practice being someone who isn't defined only by tasks. Let me share a scene that still sits with me. 6 months in, a neighbor, a woman I'd seen in the building for years, knocked and asked if I'd help carry groceries. I was embarrassed to admit how little I had to offer. No appointments, no urgent calls, and for a moment no small talk ready. We sat on her doorstep, and she told me about her daughter's wedding next month. I realized then how many small, ordinary connections I had missed while I was busy on. That moment taught me to start rebuilding a life made of gentle daily things, small routines, new friendships, and yes, practice at being present. If you're planning your exit, don't wait until the door is closed. Start learning how to fill quiet days with things that matter to you. Take small actions now. Practice a hobby. Call an old friend. Get used to an unstructured morning. The silence will come. Better it surprises you with curiosity than with fear. When I was young, freedom was a slogan. Work hard now, enjoy later. So when I quit, I expected a sea of choices. Travel, fishing, books, long lunches. For a while, I tasted that freedom, and it was intoxicating. I slept late when I wanted. I bought train tickets to places I'd told myself I'd visit someday. But after the first 3 months, something strange happened. I felt restless. The days stretched, and I didn't know which end to pick up. Freedom without a compass is like standing in a large empty field at dusk. You can walk anywhere, and that is exciting at first. But excitement without direction can become anxiety. I remember sitting in a little cafe in a town I had come to see. I had read the guidebook, taken the photographs, and yet when the day ended, I returned to the hotel with a hollow feeling. I had freedom, yes, but the days had no deeper thread. I felt like a guest in my own life. Here's the lesson I learned. Freedom requires boundaries. It needs a few chosen commitments to give it texture. For me, that meant choosing 2 or 3 things that genuinely mattered, then letting other choices fall away. For example, I decided to spend mornings walking and afternoons learning whatever I wanted, painting, reading, sometimes volunteering at the local library. That created rhythm. Once I had rhythm, the freedom felt like a wide road with signposts instead of a blank field. Let me tell you about a small experiment that helped. I set myself a project, a journal of ordinary days. I wrote what I did each morning, how I felt, who I spoke to. After a month, patterns appeared. Some activities lifted me, others drained me. I learned to protect the things that gave me energy, and to say no to invitations that left me empty. In short, freedom became a tool rather than a temptation. If you think retirement will automatically feel like paradise, be careful. You must design parts of it. Think of freedom as a workshop. Pick a few tools, relationships, projects, routines, and use them to shape the days. Otherwise, you might discover that unlimited options are heavier than you expected. For most of my life, I chased security. A larger house, savings for the children, funds for emergencies. These were sensible goals. Money fixed problems. It bought a comforting sense of safety. But looking back, I see how the chase priced me out of moments I can never buy back. I remember a work week 5 years before I retired. My daughter called to say her son, my grandson, had scored in a school play. I was on a phone call with a client that refused to end. I remember listening to her voice over the line and calculating, finish this call, then I'll go to the celebration. I never made it. I told myself later that the meeting was important. It probably was. But the truth is, I chose work over a small, bright life memory. That missed applause sits with me now more than any bonus I earned that year. Money gave me comfort, but it did not grow my children's laughter. It did not replace the quiet nights I missed while I worked late. The hidden cost of the rat race is not just stress or missed sleep. It is the accumulation of missed ordinary things, football games, birthdays, a walk with a friend. In my 90s, these are the things I remember. Not the ledger balances, but the hands I held, the meals shared, the mistakes forgiven. Here's what I want you to consider. Success is not a single number in a bank account. Success is a balance between supply and meaning. If you allow your ledger to crowd out your life ledger, the people, the health, the small rituals, you may end up wealthy and regretful. When I was younger, I thought I was buying more time for those things later. Time, though, is not a deposit you can withdraw when you like. It spends itself whether you watch or not. A story that changed me. After I retired, I found an old box of letters my wife had kept. In one note, she had written about a picnic I missed for an urgent meeting. She was disappointed, but she had also written, "I hope one day we will stop missing each other." Reading that, I understood the slow, invisible depletion I had helped cause. It made me change priorities. I called my daughter and told her stories I had never told before. I sat with my grandsons. I tried to give time back where money could not. Don't let your future be a plan that sacrifices the present. Reassess what you call necessary. Invest in relationships now. The returns are the kind you can carry to the end. As the years add up, the fog lifts, things that once seemed urgent evaporate, and what remains is simpler and truer. In my 70s and 80s, conversations with friends, men and women, who had spent their lives running revealed the same theme. We had chased markers that looked meaningful at 30. But by 70, those markers often didn't matter. I used to think prestige and recognition were signs of a life well lived. Now I watch old friends greet a neighbor with warmth and feel how richer that is than any award. I remember a Saturday when 3 of my workmates, all retirees now, met over tea. We started listing our big wins. After a while, the list turned to softer things: a repaired friendship, a walk that led to laughter, a phone call that mattered. Those small things packed the most weight. Health, a clear conscience, a dependable friend, these were the currencies that mattered most. A memory. One of my closest friends, Harold, had been a driven man. He climbed, he worked, and he succeeded by conventional measures. In his 80s, Harold told me he regretted not learning to play the piano. Not because fame would follow, but because he loved hearing music and had denied himself joy. He spent his final months taking lessons in a community center, smiling more than I had ever seen him smile. That sight taught me that priorities can change, and it's never too late to begin something small that feeds the soul. Here is the lesson. Time gives perspective. It strips away the marketing of success and leaves the essentials. Those essentials are health, honest friendships, a sense of peace, and the capacity to forgive. You will not carry your job title into the final years. You will carry love, memory, and how you treated people. So what should you do now? Invest in your body and your relationships, not in the idea of success sold by others. Make it a habit to ask, will this matter in 10, 20, or 30 years? If the answer is no, reconsider. Learn the gentle art of saying no to things that do not feed you. Make time for slow rituals, a weekly meal with someone you care about, regular walks, keeping your doctor's appointments, and telling people you love them in ways that matter. The race teaches you speed. Age teaches you sense. Let that sense guide you sooner than I did. Retirement can be an ending, yes, but it can also be a beginning. After the early awkwardness, the restlessness, and the patching of old losses, I discovered a second life I had not imagined. It came slowly, not as fireworks, but as small, steady changes. One day, a young man from the neighborhood knocked my door. He was looking for a mentor, someone with experience who could read his resume and give honest feedback. I laughed at first. Me, a mentor? But I agreed. We met once, then twice. Then I began spending mornings helping students at a local community college with basic job skills. That small commitment gave me a reason to plan my week. It made me feel useful again. Purpose returned, not in the shape of a job title, but as a contribution. Purpose after the rat race is quieter, but often deeper. I found meaning, mentoring, volunteering, and working on small projects I had postponed for decades, building a bench for the park, recording short stories for a local radio program, tending a tiny vegetable patch. These things did not bring wealth, but they brought engagement and pride. They made mornings worth getting up for, a real-life turning point. About 8 years after retiring, I started a monthly storytelling night at the library. At first, only 3 people came. I read old letters, told foolish stories from my youth, and listened to others. Over time, the room filled. People told me the nights helped them feel less alone. That gave me more joy than any promotion had. Helping others find voice and connection became my second life's heartbeat. The lesson is simple. Purpose is not tied to age or title. It is something you can craft with small acts. If you are planning to leave the rat race, think ahead. What could you start that would make your life feel useful? It can be small and local, tutoring a child, planting trees, learning a craft and teaching it to others. These actions give structure and make time meaningful in ways a job once did. If you are still running, imagine the second life you want. Don't assume it will come by accident. Plant small seeds now. You'll be surprised how they grow. When I left the race at 64, I thought I was stepping into rest. Instead, I stepped into truth. Quitting did not fix everything. It revealed what I had been hiding from and what I had been postponing. Looking back at 90, my clearest advice is this: don't save life for retirement. Build it now. Learn to be comfortable with silence. Design freedom with a few commitments you love. Remember that money is useful, but it cannot buy missed moments. Invest in health, friendships, and small everyday rituals that add up to a life. And finally, plan for the second life, the one that brings purpose beyond paychecks. One day the race will end for all of us. The real question is not whether you can stop running, it's whether when you stop, you've been running towards something meaningful. If you want less regret and more quiet joy, begin adjusting the race now. Trust me, 90 years has taught me one honest truth: the finish line is not the goal. The way you run the race, the people you keep, the small choices you make, that is the life you will carry with you. Make it one you'll be proud to remember.